So that's pretty much all that we'd had that day, food-wise, was water. And we also had gotten some free water during the day. Starbucks gives free water in almost every single one of their locations, and there are several in Washington, D.C. So that was what we took advantage of a lot was Starbucks, and they also almost all of them that we experienced allowed you to go to the restroom. McDonald's did not give you free water. They charged 44 cents for a cup of water. They had signs up that restrooms were for customers only, but they didn't like kick you out if you went and use them. Um, but yeah, so we're hungry at about 2 o'clock up there at the NCH offices, and so we're talking about how we haven't eaten. And we hear from one of the other groups that apparently the place to go is McPherson Square, because apparently all day long food comes to McPherson Square on Saturdays. So we're like, yeah, let's go. So it was a decent walk. We walk all the way down there to McPherson, and we sit around there. And as soon as we get there, food's being handed out right away. So we're like, yes, food. And we go over, and it's really, really good food, actually. I'm not even sure who it came from or who these people are, but it's, chicken, like fried chicken, seasoned fried chicken. That was really good. Rice and broccoli, and I was very excited about all of those foods. And I was like, yes. And so I chowed down on that. And we did notice that then shortly thereafter, another van came from another group of people, and they were giving away food, and we talked to some of the people there, and they told us that this is what happens on Saturdays, that people come down, and it was a really nice day too, that it's a nice day, and they'll come down, over and over again and give away food in McPherson Square. And then actually one guy described it in this way to us. He said, it's binge and starve. It's binge and starve because there'll be days like this on the weekends when everybody will come down and give them food, and so that there's so much food they can't eat it all, and they're stocking up on it. Because there are other days there's in McPherson Square and no one comes, or only McKenna's wagon stops by at dinner time, and they don't get all of that. So binge and starve is definitely something that stuck in my head from this trip, and also kind of like the lack of coordination. I don't know how you could do that just with all the different things, with the lack of coordination and getting food there. Because one of the groups that actually came and talked to us and was trying to start a new nonprofit, and they talk about how they just, it's just 2 people and they choose one day a month and they come down and they give away food. And there was another time I was sitting kind of by myself away from the group, and a couple of kids were coming through with, I guess, their father, I don't know, with an adult, and they were just giving away bananas to everyone in the park, which I was excited about too, because I'm like, yes, fresh fruit, bananas. And so we get that, and so it was just interesting to me. It was exciting that was available to them, but knowing that that's not available all the time was kind of made me think about a lot of things. A lot of emotions stirred up about that, and so we have that going on, and there's actually a guy that comes later on. You hear this in some of the other videos we watched. I don't want to repeat everything, but just the compassion that they show to each other. A man comes later when most of the food had been given away, and people who had been stocked up actually share their food with him. And there's really a true sense of community among the people who are experiencing homelessness in D.C. Like, they look out for each other, they watch out for each other, and they really do that. So we did that, and we kind of stayed in McPherson for a while, and then we spent that night at the old post office, again covered, lit area, so that. Sleeping was not as bad as I thought, because I can pretty much sleep on anything, and I knew that about myself. The one thing that I missed the most, to be selfish as you call, is pillow. Oh my gosh, I just wanted a pillow. Especially because I had a cold going on. Whiny me here. I had a cold going on, so I want my head to be elevated for reasons that I won't go into because they're gross. But I want my head to be elevated, and I wasn't able to do that too much. I had bunched up my jacket, and my shoes are back there, and I'm not trying to use that as a pillow. But I really didn't have a whole lot of trouble sleeping. I sometimes had trouble getting to sleep, just like I said, because I had a cold. But I didn't have any trouble sleeping. I slept rather well because we were tired. And the first night they took care of us, actually, they were nice enough. Our guides, it had gotten chillier throughout the night, kind of closer to the morning, and they actually came through and covered us all in and kind of tucked us in, and it was just, unrealistic to what would actually happen if we were homeless, but a nice thing that they did, and taking pride in what they were doing. And that's one thing. A lot of people say that, why are you doing, how is this AAA helping anything? There's so much that you learn from it that I don't understand how people don't see how it really is a service, that what people are going through. When there's a weird noise coming from the other room, that's what I'm looking that way for. But like, people really understand what you really understand it a whole lot more. So you get that, and there's the service of witness, the service of experience, the service of knowing. But aside from that, like, we're paying the guides for this opportunity, and this is their job. They're recovering from homelessness, or they're enduring homelessness right now, and we're giving them a job. We're paying them to come and kind of show us these things and make sure that we're safe and take us to the places. And so, that's one of the services that actually do have as a direct consequence is employment for people experiencing homelessness through this program. So I want to throw that in there. But yeah, we spent the night at the old post office, and it was, the same as the night before. We had trouble sleeping. Some people had trouble sleeping. I had no trouble sleeping at all. They wake us up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and that morning, it's Sunday, so they just kind of take us over to this place, Epiphany Church in D.C., Epiphany Episcopal. And we got to go through that program and how that works. And so we check in. The way it works is you actually have to go in the morning and you check in, and they give you kind of like a name tag that you have to wear. And then it's required that you participate in a religious service. So you kind of sit around and wait for that to happen. They make you sit up, they'll lay down in the pews, but you can sleep, but you can't lay down. And so we're there waiting for that to happen. We go through the service. It's a church service. That's nice. And then we get the chance to eat. And some of the people actually got the chance to participate in the choir and in the art program that they have there, kind of as like a Sunday school-ish kind of thing. They do art, and that was cool for them. I didn't do any of those things, but they did. And so we went through that, and we had actually a very nice breakfast afterwards. And it was, it's kind of impressive. They had restrooms there that they had for us to use. And it was really kind of a nice experience overall. So I can't really say anything negative about that. And then afterwards, we decided to walk around and kind of spend the last day. We did try to do some paneling and meeting other people. And just kind of wrapped up the day, heading back up to the NCH. Yeah. There's some other stuff in there that I didn't really mention because I'm already going into like 30 minutes of video. So there's that. But some of the things that I really remember again are the fact that I can understand a little more how substance abuse is so prominent. Not that it's necessarily prominent, that there are people there, and that's not how they got into homelessness, and not everyone who's in homelessness is using drugs or alcohol. But how substance abuse, I have a new sympathy for people who do fall into that temptation. And that I have mixed feelings about the Binge and Starve and how the resources are allocated there. We also found out that Franklin Shelter, one of the biggest shelters in D.C., had just shut down about 3 months ago. And that's why there was a lot of people in Franklin Square, which we actually went to the second day, which is a couple blocks from McPherson. And why there's so many people there is just kind of that's where they always were, and that's where the shelter was, and the shelter's gone. We gave away our sleeping bags on the last day because homeless people don't have sleeping bags. That's just us. So that was good to do. And I really learned a lot. I experienced a lot. I was excited that the students got a lot of it and to hear their stories, especially in these reflections and while we were there. They tell us at the end, they kind of asked us during our reflection at the end, did you realize in this that anyone can be homeless? Anyone can fall victim. Do you think that you could go into homelessness? And everyone on our trip agreed that it could happen to anyone. And that's honestly the truth. We met people who substance abuse was the reason that they had fallen into homelessness. Other ones, it's because their family had left them, that they had, had some sort of breakup with their wife or something like that, and had lost everything, and that's why they were there. We met one person that it was because of identity theft that he was homeless. We met one person that was from Ethiopia, and he uses all the money that he makes from his 3 jobs to send to his family in Ethiopia, and he doesn't keep very much of it for himself at all, and he lives on the streets for that reason. So there are people, like I said, and as I expected, of all diverse backgrounds. But just anyone really can become homeless, and it really made me realize